Hi, welcome to the Inside Connection. I'm Dr. Craig Martin, and in this episode, we're going to talk about the element of fire. What do you know about fire? Well, we know that fire is hot, and we know sometimes it burns, but did you know that fire, the element, also corresponds with human personality? Fire signs are all creative, motivated, and enthusiastic. They are high energy, and they have a common thread of having a lot of ideas, which comes from that creative side. Let's talk first about the light side of fire. All right, so Aries is the first fire sign. Remember, we have people like Betty Davis and Lady Gaga. They stand out as fires, right? Leo is the second. How about Whitney Houston or Napoleon or even Barack Obama? He's a very big Leo. And Sagittarians, Bruce Lee, Taylor Swift, Jamie Foxx. As we see with all the elements, the first sign in fire, Aries, has to do with the relationship that sign has with itself. Second fire sign, Leo, has to do with the relationship that person has with one individual or individuals, others. And Sagittarius, the third fire sign, is about creativity with society or a whole group of people at large. The difference between Aries and Leo is that Aries is doing creativity for itself. Leo is creative for others, while Sagittarius wants to be creative on a social level. Their creative experience involves society. That's why Sag rules higher learning, foreign travel, and philosophy. We see people like Steven Spielberg or even Nostradamus as a Sagittarius. They have a kind of philosophical vision that they're trying to bring to the world. The one thing I want to make clear is that this first, second, and third sign thing doesn't mean that the third sign, Sagittarius, is more evolved than the first sign, Aries, because it's really about experience that this individual is having. So Aries is experiencing its creative effect on itself. It's doing creativity for itself, while Sag is experiencing creativity for a group of people. How do we know a fire sign? You can spot one by their energy. Usually they have warmth and charm and an abundance of ideas. And we all love that, and we're all attracted to it. Like a campfire, wherever the light is burning, we're drawn to fire signs because of their warmth and creativity. We're attracted to it, like people who congregate in the kitchen of someone's home. It's the warm and creative spot. You know you're in the presence of a fire sign when someone is bursting with excitement, enthusiasm. That's the hallmark of fire. Now, getting along with fire will mean giving them a lot of space for their creativity, make allowance for their ideas, and share in that enthusiasm. For Aries, that would be helping them make their vision into a reality. For Leo, you better make sure you're applauding them for a job well done, or for making you laugh, or just for knowing exactly how to do something the right way. And for Sag, it's about a willingness to get in there and debate with them until the higher truth or the new idea or the inspired thought comes out. You got to be willing to have an adventure with them mentally, physically, and spiritually. So what's the dark side of fire? Fire can be selfish and want to have things its own way, no matter what the consequences. If they feel they're in the right, they feel very strongly about it, and they make sure that you know it. When their creativity is threatened or their vision is not being done the way they want it to, it definitely upsets them. See, all fire signs can be pushy, argumentative, and very much preoccupied with themselves. Aries, say someone like Russell Crowe, is known for being arrogant. He even said he was the greatest actor ever. It's because their creativity pertains to them, and they don't care if you disagree with them. They know they're right, so it comes across as an arrogant energy. They can also be extremely coarse when they want to get their point across. Aries, abrupt, only concerned with themselves. Sometimes they don't even care what other people think. For Leos, they can be haughty. Think Kobe Bryant. They see themselves as better than others, and it doesn't really go over well all the time, but they need to have other people pay attention to them, and they can be really pushy in order to get that attention. And the shadow side of Sagittarius is brutal honesty. Their creativity is about their higher truth, so they're always happy to point out the truth to others. They don't recognize sometimes that their truth could be insulting or hurtful, and they want to be able to share that truth so that other people's lives could be better, but they don't always take into account how it's going to come across emotionally. Sag wants to be inspired by all this truth, but sometimes it just misses the mark a little bit. Saying to someone, you kind of look fat in that dress, isn't really going to make someone happy, even if it is true. The darker side of Sagittarius also is that it ends up being about their higher truth, and they can kind of get stuck with that. Ideally, they're looking for a universal set of higher truths. The problem with higher truth is when your ego gets in the way. You can definitely say about all the fire signs that they are not completely concerned with people's emotional reactions to their creative greatness. Compatibility column, fire and water. As you can imagine, fire and water can be a really difficult combination because water puts out fire and fire makes water boil. It's a very challenging mix and not the easiest one for a couple to master. However, fire and water also make steam, so it can be really hot and have a lot of passion, imagination, emotional intensity, and creativity combined. Water is the emotional one, and so that can sometimes put fire out because if we have a lot of emotions, it can be kind of heavy. Water is imaginative though, and the combination of imagination and creativity could be really good. Celebrity horoscope, Prince Harry. Really, Prince Harry is a very proper Virgo, I'm sure. And he's very concerned with appearances because he has Capricorn prominently placed in his chart. It's just that he can't get away from his adventurous side. You see, he has a lot of Sagittarius and his sex appeal, Saturn and Scorpio. This is actually his big dilemma. One side of him is a jet-setting playboy, and on the inside, he's very concerned with his social position and his place in society. Between the two, it must be very tough for him. The amazing thing about Harry is that he gets to show the world that the royal family is not as stuffy as they appear to be. No stuffed shirt with Harry. In fact, sometimes no shirt at all. This is the winning circle for fire. If you're a fire, you need to sell your ideas and your creativity. You think fast on your toes, and you can always be counted on for a good idea. Fire's winning moment is when your creativity can be valued and when details aren't needed so much since it's not your strongest suit. I know an Aries guy who can talk himself into any door, and his enthusiasm precedes him so strongly. That enthusiasm is infectious, and fire signs are great at sales because they're good at connecting with people and making them feel motivated and passionate. Great, let's do that global energy minute. You know that there's a chart that's going on right now for all of us. It's where the planets are right now, and so we're going to take a look at that. We still have a very big energy, transformational energy that's impacting us all. Tension, but also the release of tension are a very big issue globally. What's happening is that people, individuals, are feeling more empowered to stand up to authority. This is an overall energy pattern, so there are frequent upsets in the global calm right now. The bright side is that communication possibilities are very good. Jupiter in Gemini is making it easier for people to talk things out, and social media continues to play a major role in how quickly information can spread and how public opinion is swayed. There continues to also be an undercurrent of a spiritual awakening. It actually picks up in pace a little bit right now with some Sagittarius prominent in the chart. We can see a spiritual awakening that's happening on the planet at this time, and it's moving a little closer to the consciousness of people. And lastly, this is a good time to get your house in order, both literally and figuratively. What needs to be maintained in order to keep things working well? That's the question to ask yourself. Now's a good time to get in touch with that. The garden needs weeding, the house needs dusting. It's good for us to do something healthy for ourselves at this time, cleaning out the unwanted clutter and preparing for a new abundance. And that's the Global Energy Minute. Takako, welcome to the Inside Connection.
Hi.
Hi, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Yeah, it's great. So, have you ever had an astrology reading before?
No, it's pretty much my first time to try.
You were born in Aries because your birthday is March 24. So you're very hardworking.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping. Yes.
Very hardworking. Okay, and you're also looking for, and don't take this the wrong way, to be able to really develop financial success. It's one of the things that you would really like to have in life.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I know I could probably say that to a lot of people, but in your chart it really stands out.
As long as I can just have a same life, I don't really complain about my business. But more than that, I just always have a little question mark about my private life, you know. And sometimes I kind of feel like I'm living here long enough, and then all my family there in Japan. So I just kind of question about, is it just okay to live this country forever, or just a little thing.
That thing is going to get bigger.
Yes, I feel I kind of sometimes worry about myself that. Well, lately I feel so comfortable being just myself and just puppy.
Yes.
I'm not even dating with anybody.
Yes.
And then before, I used to always feel like, oh, I don't have anybody, how miserable or something. But actually, I feel so comfortable right now.
Yes, I hear that. In your chart, being able to have a relationship like that with a pet is a really good thing. And as an Aries, you can be very independent. Right? Aries is very independent. Most of the time, Aries doesn't need anybody because they're like, I'm just good. I'm just okay with myself. And maybe that's some of the sudden thinking that you've been having, that you're suddenly like, oh, I'm okay just being by myself.
Yeah. Not that I'm saying that I don't want anybody or anything, but I'm like, if there is someone can be a good company, then it's okay, but it's not, then I just rather be.
Of course, yeah. And that person will come to you, and what you want to make sure that you do is you want to be able to not have the little thought of, I wonder if I'm really, doing the right thing. You are. It's okay for you to be comfortable where you are right now. Okay. Yes, thank you. It was really good to have you on the show.
Oh, thank you so much.
Justin, hi. Welcome to the Inside Connection.
Craig, thank you so much for Skyping me in. I feel like I've won a game show today getting a reading from you.
Have you ever had a reading?
God, I only wish that I did. One woman that called herself a fortune teller touched my palm one day, and basically she said, you have 7 years bad luck.
I find in my private practice that a lot of times someone who has gotten one of those awful readings of doom comes into my office to say, is it true? Like I'm being asked for a second opinion, So an astrology reading is actually completely different than that. And while you and I might touch upon a little bit of prediction today, or what the energy is talking about in your chart, what direction it's headed in, it's generally first purpose is to talk about your personality and your challenges and what you're really here to learn. So let's take a look at your chart. Your chart is a picture of the planets and where they were at the time when you were born, okay? So it's specific for everybody because the planets going around the sun, it's sort of like a clock with a lot of different hands, and when you're born, it freeze frames them. So based on the time that you were born, you have Aquarius rising. And so when we meet you, it's like you're sort of vivacious and a friend to everybody, you know, life of the party. But what you want to do is you want to include everybody, and you want to be able to say, let's just have fun, let's just connect. This is the way, you know, that we can really make things happen, is by being sort of connected to each other. A lot of humanitarian, generous qualities that you have.
Keep going. I'm constantly wondering where the next buck is coming, but every twist and turn that I take, it seems to come.
Sun is our star, and where we find it in the chart is the place where we usually have an easier time, that things flow more easily in that realm. And so for you, it's right there in the second house. And so money through sensitivity, intuition, your empathy, connection to people and what it is that they need, those qualities of Pisces. That's where you're going to find that you make money. Are you partnered with someone?
No, not at the moment.
One of the interesting things is that in your chart, the ruler of your chart is Uranus, and Uranus is in your 7th house, which is about wanting to have a sort of very dynamic, eclectic, a little bit different, but quite maybe bold and showy. I'm sure you've been with your share of people who are attention getters, people who are capable of attracting a lot of attention to them, because Uranus in your chart is in Leo. So there's a sort of an affinity for you to be attracted to Leos.
That's interesting.
Evolutionarily, as you progress a little bit beyond that in this lifetime, you're going to realize it would be better for you to be with somebody who's a little more service-oriented, perhaps a little intense, but you know, you don't want them to be too picky or too fault-finding, but you want them to actually be less about themselves and more about the couple, or perhaps more about you.
That's interesting, because I've been, you know, walking away from dates with the same old type of person.
Right.
And something inside of me is saying, you know what, you don't need to repeat this one.
What you're putting out there is what you're bringing back in. And when you become more aware of what you need, it changes what it is that you bring in.
I would love to slow down a little bit, but for some odd reason, people think I'm like, instead of born in 1958, I think they think I'm born in 88. And it's really, those are the types of people that seem to be attracted to me. And it's kind of frustrating, because I feel like I'm a school teacher or a parent.
Yeah, those are the people, remember, that you're attracting. You can't be with somebody 30 years younger than you and not feel like a school teacher. You want to connect with something more mature.
Right.
And connect with something more mature.
What do I need to do other than listen to you?
No, stick with creativity. Find out where you can really be that leader. You know, allow yourself to be the face of your company, for sure. Thank you. It's really been great having you on the show.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. I feel very fortunate.
I'm Dr. Craig Martin. Thanks for joining me on The Inside Connection. I'll see you next time.